Hi gentle people, good morning, welcome back on the channel. I'm really glad to be back with you after a few months of interruption because of my wedding filmmaker job. Today we will continue our Saving Private Ryan project. This little bug here, and that will be the second piece of this diorama. We already developed the construction of this Tiger 1. So as you can see behind me, the bridge is already in progress. I already cut the main parts of the bridge. I started the sculpting on some parts of the bridge. The railway track or the tramway track is already in progress as well. Today the video will only deal about the construction of this Kettenkrad. And I plan normally next week to release another video on the painting and the weathering both together in the same video of this Kettenkrad. I hope you had a nice Christmas period with your families, and I wish you the best for 2024 with a lot of kit, a lot of project. For this new year I've got a little surprise for you guys. It will be for end January, beginning of February. We'll speak about that later. So let's start right now with this construction of the Kettenkrad from Tamiya. It's the 1/35th scale, obviously, the same as the Tiger one, so you can already see the size difference between both vehicles. So to summarize this Kettenkrad build from the Tamiya 1/35th scale, it's a super kit, super easy to build. So again, many thanks to Tamiya for this clever engineer kit. It's very funny to build, very easy. So I think it's interesting to go for an additional photoetched set to complete this kit from Tamiya. As to my opinion, the driver compartment and the engine compartment are lacking a little bit of details.
As always with photoetched parts, I advise you to make a little bit of planning and to identify all the pieces that you will not use on the plastic sprue. So that you can already anticipate on the different works in the correct chronology. Watch out chaps, don't do the same stupid mistake as I did. I've bought the Kettenkrad photo etch set for the Dragon kit. I did not even notice that it was not the one supposed to be used for the Tamiya kit. But anyway, I used it, didn't want to buy a new set of photo etch parts. As I said initially, this kit is intelligently manufactured. Almost all the gluing seams are invisible and have been planned at clever location. So it's really a pleasure to work with. Now, as usual, with scale modeling, you have to be precise while cutting your pieces and while sanding them. But as you can see on these pictures, the fitting is really nice. The way this kit has been engineered is also clever in the way that you can build this kit in different modules, like I did before painting. So you have a module for the hull, another module for the tracks, another module for the steering wheel, and a last module for the driver compartment. Working with some photo etch parts require from time to time to remove some plastic part from the kit. You can do so using your hobby knife and a little bit of sanding paper. Now, given the fact I didn't use the correct brand for this photo etch set, some parts were a little bit undersized, so I had to compensate with a little bit of epoxy putty, especially around these ventilation grids on the backside of the Kettenkrad. I really wanted to use these ventilation grids in photo etch to be able to give this realistic damage appearance that you can see on the real vehicle. The Tamiya kit also includes two photo etch grids for the engine compartment, and again, very intelligent from Tamiya. They provide us with a little plastic mold to be able to bend these grids to the correct shape for the engine compartment cover. As usual, I used my Cyano Black slow dry glue to fix these photo etch parts, and I removed the excess with some debonder. Now, to simulate scratches, bumps and cracks all around the hull, of this Kettenkrad, I use my mini drill Proxon with different little drills according to the effect I want to give. These effects are quite light and located at the more worn out location on the vehicle. After this step you need to sand a little bit these effects. I also use a little bit of Tamiya cement to burn all the residual plastic particles. As I mentioned in the introduction of this video, the driver and engine compartments are lacking a lot of detail, so that's where the photoetched set will be a valuable additional resource. Now you can use, like me, this specific tool to bend your photoetched parts. Now for very small parts it might be much more easier to use tweezers to bend these little pieces. Pedals and wiring will be added to the engine. I used 0.3 and 0.4 LED wires. I advise you not to go above 0.4 as it will be difficult afterwards to introduce the engine within the compartment. For the wiring, there is not that too many cables to do, but you can help yourself with some real pictures to see where and how these wires are organized through the hull. Some other little elements like these levers and some rifle support will also be installed in the driver compartment. It is really essential to pass through these steps if you want to reproduce a Kettenkrad with the engine compartment open and visible. It won't be the case for my diorama, but I think it's always a nice training to go through these steps. Another interesting feature to reproduce with photoetch is the radiator actuator lever, which is located on the left side of the hull. This lever was actuated by the driver to select the amount of cooling for the engine. Actually, it permits to actuate a cooling flap, which is located in between the passenger feet on the back side of the vehicle, as you will see later. Now, with respect to the footsteps, I preferred to drill them instead of using the photoetched part, because I found it was much easier to do and quicker for the same result. As you can see, the engine is barely fitting in the compartment due to the different LED wires that we installed inside, so watch out, as I said, with your wiring sections. Now on the rear side of the hull, as I mentioned, you have in between the passenger legs the position of the radiator cooling flap. This section needs to be detailed with photoetched as the kit is a little bit empty. Unfortunately, here is what happens when you are doing stupid mistake and you buy the wrong kit for the wrong brand. So I had a little extra work sanding and making extra room to fit this cooling flap into position. Let's also add some rifle supports on the rear side of this hull. You have normally two rifle supports, one on each side. The left one here was left partially broken, so I only used the lower section, while on the other side I used the lower and the upper rifle supports. The lower aft section of the chassis received a small chain, also done with photoetched, and the two mud guards that will require some additional bending to give them a little bit more realistic effect. Okay, the pilot's cockpit now. Not a lot of things to say about this piece of equipment. The dashboard is quite basic with only 3 instruments. We will add a little splash plate in photoetched. This piece needs to be drilled. It's a delicate operation just to fit with the dashboard shapes. The last photoetched upgrade on this dash will be the gear shift lever support. This is a nice little metal plate that will obviously accommodate the gear shift lever. Watch out anyway, this gear shift lever will only be put in position at the end of the project after the painting, while doing the final assembly of the different submodules. One of the different submodules is the front wheel assembly. Nothing very difficult on this build. It's quite straightforward, and all these pieces are perfectly adjusting. The point of interest here are mainly the alignment of the light, the front light, and of the mudguard that should be aligned with the front wheel. Another point of interest as well is think about deleting or cancelling the glue seam on the mudguard. This mudguard is done in 2 separate pieces. It's a longitudinal cut, so just like when dealing with aircraft fuselage, after gluing you have this ugly seam in the middle. A good way to delete it correctly, and that's also the tip I give for fuselage of aircraft, is to use a cyanoacrylate glue, pass 1 layer of this glue above this gluing seam, give it a little bit of time to dry, and afterwards just sand it completely. As I said, pay attention to the alignment of the main lights, the mudguard and the handlebars. A 0.3 mm lead wire will be also added on the right side of the handlebar. That will be the last upgrade on this part. Last but not least, the track assembly. And once again here, Tamiya did an excellent job. The assembly of the wheel is really easy. You just have to pay attention to the plane wheel direction, so just to put this wheel in the correct position. The tracks themselves are rather easy to assemble, even if at first sight it might seem a bit scary. You have some longer elements and single elements. As you can see, putting in position the driving sprocket and the main wheel assembly is really easy and do not represent any difficulty. Now, to start the correct way with the track positioning, I think it's important to study the plan view correctly. You have to start on the upper side of the track assembly and put the longest track segment against the first driving sprocket tooth. You then continue with all the individual track elements following around this driving sprocket. It's not complicated, the fitting is perfect, so it makes things much easier. It's just a matter of time to align them properly, but all in all, if these pieces have been cut and sanded properly, you won't encounter any issue with the gluing on this driving sprocket. You then continue with the smaller sections on the bottom side. Select the correct track segment. There are 3 of them with different lengths, and pay attention to adjusting the junction between the last individual track segment and the next one. And you just add the remaining segments until you reach the tension wheel. Just like for the driving sprocket, I use the same method from top to bottom for the tension wheel. So element by element you turn around this wheel. It's quite easy, there is no significant problem with this part. It was so easy that I put 1 element too much, so when I placed my last segment on the bottom part, unfortunately I had to remove one segment. So no problem here, you just take it out and you will see that the fitting is excellent. So once removed, you have a perfect track system. The last step of this construction is to put all the different rubber pads on the tracks. Another intelligent advice from Tamiya is to cut these rubber pads together by a sprue set, and you remove them from the sprue only once glued on the tracks. Not only you will gain time to put them into position, but also to align them perfectly. After a little drying time, it's now time to remove the sprue, just cutting each rubber pad individually.
Obviously, this only works for the straight segments. For the tension wheel and the driving sprocket, you have to work rubber pad per rubber pad. Here again, no big stress. Each pad has a positioning hole that fits perfectly with the little positioning pin on the tracks. As you can see, the result is very nice and doesn't require any specific equipment. Now, if you intend to reproduce an operational vehicle, the rubber pads need to be damaged, just like for the main battle tanks. These are the pads in contact with the ground, and obviously these rubber pads suffer from damages while driving on rubble, stones and all kinds of obstacles. To achieve a nice result, I used different drills. Again, the selection of the drill depends upon the effect you want to give to these pads. You can even go until a point at which the complete rubber pad is removed, is completely torn away. Watch out in this case anyway to leave the metallic structure on which this pad was installed. You can also apply this technique, this weathering technique, on the main wheels, as these wheels incorporated a rubber frame all around the wheel, and this rubber frame was also slightly damaged by small rock passing through the wheel assembly. That's all, folks. Many thanks for your attention. This construction is finished. See you in the next video, where I will describe the painting and the weathering of this little bug. See you, greetings from Portugal. Ciao, guys.